I spent, or perhaps wasted, years of my life. I spent that time in a negative haze, with a dark cloud hanging over me. I had problems with being sociable, so I assumed that people didn't enjoy being with me, and that they did not like me. It was a great struggle for me to be around people, because I felt that they were thinking negatively about me. I didn't sense it at the time, but my issue was more with my internal negativity, rather than any true negativity on their part. Sometimes people even asked me, "Why are you so negative? What is wrong?" But I never had a good answer. My belief was that reality actually was negative and terrible, and that I simply had to deal with it. I didn't understand that I was being consumed by my own negativity at the time, and that my way of seeing life didn't represent reality. However maladaptive my negative way of thinking was, by my early 20s I was getting used to it. I thought that the negativity was a part of who I was, that it was in my personality. My life had evolved into a bad habit of seeing, thinking, and doing in a negative way. Of course, I was not happy about this, but at the same time, I didn't see any other options. I didn't know any other way to be. I felt entrapped, but I couldn't grasp any way out of the reality that I had created for myself. This way of being lasted for many years, and then came the toughest period of my life. I had applied to a graduate school program in industrial organizational psychology. I had a deep doubt within me, realizing that I would be tested beyond what I could even imagine. A part of me knew that I was not ready for this program, but I applied anyway. On paper, I was an excellent student, but my communication skills were quite poor, and I was worried about this. Nonetheless, I was accepted into the program. In the first week, I realized that this would be the biggest challenge of my life. However, the work itself wasn't overly difficult intellectually. Rather, there was so much work that needed to be done that there appeared to be no end in sight to it. For example, there was a heavy load of coursework, multiple research projects, learning to use statistical programs, management of undergraduate researchers, many administrative tasks, and a variety of meetings per week on research topics, all while I was adjusting to living in a new state. My biggest battle at the time, however, was not the work itself, nor in adjusting to the new location. It was in learning to deal with my own overwhelming negativity. The force of it was becoming greater and greater as it gained in power under the increasing pressures and stresses of my life. Even in the first few weeks of the program, I did not think that I could deal with all of the work. I felt like I was being suffocated under all of it. I had so much to do and learn that it was overwhelming beyond anything I could have expected. I had begun to lose confidence that I would be able to do all the tasks required of me. Failure was often on my mind. I sensed that it was inevitable. After several months in the program, I felt defeated. I was keeping up with the work demands, but my mind was telling me that I was going to fail over and over, and I was not happy. Work occupied my mind all day long, and when it was time to sleep, I could not stop thinking about it. Generally, I would only sleep a few hours per night. I was also losing weight, and I was already thin when the program had begun. A big sign that my mind was malfunctioning was that I was forgetting very simple things. I would forget meeting times, and sometimes I could not recall what someone had said to me only moments earlier. At my worst, my mind was occupied with incessant negative thoughts about myself, which is clearly counterproductive. I may have been sitting in a meeting, and my mind would wander into negative thoughts. I couldn't focus on anything else but this negativity. Eventually, I did not want to be in the program any longer, but I continued with it nonetheless. After a few more months, it was winter break. I should have been happy, but instead I found myself bedridden. I spent most of the days in bed, not because of a physical ailment, but because of a mental one. The negativity inside of me was on permanent full throttle now. Imagine getting into your car, putting it in neutral, and then putting your foot down on the gas all the way. The engine is revving so hard that it sounds like it could break, but the car isn't going anywhere. This is what my mind and my life had become. My mind was working in overdrive to the point of self-destruction, but I was not making progress. The fact that I was in bed, unable to do much of anything, only reinforced the negative thoughts I had, that I was truly not going to be able to continue with the program.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.